Welcome everyone to Sur Gallery, our first exhibition of 2022 entitled Color of Women, featuring the artists Dinora Quetzalco, Sojin Chun, Yelaini Rodriguez, and Lido Pimienta. So I have joined these artists together not because of any ethnic or racial associations. Quite on the contrary, I've tried to invert the label of women of color so often used in describing racialized women in North America. I have curated these artists because of the language they have adopted without fear of being pigeonholed at all by the use of color. And these artists see the power and the healing potential it has to inspire generations, and their work is based on a lineage to create their work. So in my curatorial statement, I explain complementary colors work together within a painting. Colors fuse, they adopt, they blend, and they join. Colors cast harmonious compositions, they help each other shine, and they facilitate a multiplicity that expands or captures our understanding of the world. Colors have been a place of solace, contemplation, healing, and comfort. Colors provide an outlet and a space to adjust to the instability of our contemporary lives. Those same collaborative networks of solidarity form between women who choose the strength of color to defy erasure. So this is the starting point of how I start to make connections and begin a conversation between the artists who have adopted such different artistic mediums and practices. The intention is to invert the black and white dichotomies so prevalent in today's society, such a polarized and divided, violent society. They defy class divisions, racial divisions by choosing the weapon of color as a medium to construct new systems of care, new perspectives of kinship, and different forms of labor distribution. They assume color and its ability to heal rather than to divide. So Dinora Quetzalco is an artist who comes from the Ottawa-Gatineau region. She came to Canada at a very young age. She was 8 years old and had fond memories of Mexico. She missed her hometown, which is Puebla, and her entire artistic practice is inspired by that, by Mexican culture, by Mayan and Aztec cosmologies and traditions. So there are 4 of a series of 24 paintings, and they are paintings that are painted on wood. They have paper mache with plaster. So there's a sculpture element to these paintings. And she emphasizes the need for us to work towards the cosmovision of balance, one that will help us find within birds, within animals, and a space for humans to nurture and respect one another. These paintings are also inspired by alebrijes, and alebrijes are traditional carved and painted fantasy animal figurines that symbolize spirit guides. The origin of the alebrije can be traced to an artist called Pedro Linares from the 1930s. He turned ill at one point, and he says that in an unconscious state, he hallucinated a whole forest of these fantastical animals. And this has been part of Mexican tradition now of having these alebrijes. And so she went back to Mexico and was inspired by this tradition and made this series of 24 paintings. So in each of the paintings I've selected, the artist has used the female body to represent different entities. And in this case, for example, the one behind me called Ixchel represents the goddess of fertility. And in Mayan cosmovision, she is also the goddess of midwifery and medicine and is connected to the moon. As you can see in the painting, she has a rebozo that surrounds her and comforts her while she's giving birth. And the painting also has, and all of them really have this symbol of the tree as the tree of life from which fruits are born and shared, and this circular also shape represents the cycle of life and references an infinite cycle in which atoms, animals, birds, vegetation, and humans coexist. The painting beside it is colibri, which represents a woman warrior, colibri meaning hummingbird. The hummingbird is, in the Mayan culture, is seen as the most sacred bird of all, and it's said to be a bird that possesses the powers of joy because it transmits joy if you encounter them. They are also said to transmit messages from our ancestors, and we receive them here on Earth. In this case, the Nora has placed the woman in a squatting position that resembles the trunk of a tree with deep roots that ground her to the earth. Teotl, which means God in Nahuatl, has a much more abstract and profound meaning than just God, requires a deeper understanding of Aztec cosmovision. But in the painting, the artist refers to her duality as an immigrant and what she has discovered through the process of change and displacement. And you can see that in venados as well, venados meaning deer or deers, where the artist also deals with this concept of dual identity. In this case, the presence of motherhood is important, using her intuition and the connection to her offspring and body, also referencing the natural cycle of life and death. So the artist Sojin Chun is a Toronto-based artist, and she was born in Korea, but she was raised in Bolivia and has spent most of her adult life in Canada. Her project as Turquesada has had different installations and versions to it, and the one that we are including here at the gallery includes photographs of objects, a video documentation, and a Super 8 film of a performance that she did. Turquesada means, is actually a word that she made up. It's can be translated into an in-between color between teal and turquoise. And this is a choice that she has made of using this color because she's just fond of the color. So in the video documentation displayed on this old turquoise computer, we see a public performance where she sells the turquoise objects that we also have on display as photographs, with an exchange that reverts the value of the objects to an informal economic exchange. The purpose of the objects, regarded as art items with a neutral monetary value, the artist tries to blend the lines between street commerce, intervention, and art, and uses a capitalist consumer system to change the meaning behind the sort of economy of sharing and bartering. With that, she attempts to question labor. She questions distribution and marketing, to design this world where there's no class divisions and create it's more part of a human interaction. That's much more important. It's about the people and the engagement with people. And there's also a Super 8 film that is in the center of this installation piece, which is also part of the Aturquesada series, in which the artist alludes to the erasure experienced by diasporic artists. In the film, she has teal'co'is, the color teal'co'is, thrown at her in a kind of humorous but violent performative act. This other person explodes and throws paint at her. And this act, you can see, alludes to the Canadian art system that traditionally excludes based on gender, based on class and race. And this teal'co'is bleeds on a predominantly white, snowy landscape. Here we have Lilo Pimienta, who is a Colombian artist based in Toronto, who's also a renowned musician. And she explores the politics of gender, of race, of motherhood, and the construct of a Canadian Latinx identity as a diasporic subject. She is informed by her Afro-Indigenous background as an intersectional queer feminist, and often challenges the status quo of a Canadian art and politics through her music, through her visual art, through her storytelling. She attempts to engage and rebuild narratives in order to empower colonized peoples who share experiences of displacement, of assimilation, and of loss. She not only defies these structures of power of the status quo, but also tries to reclaim space with her work. And you can see that in this exhibition, particularly in the series Sit on My Face, Respectfully Yours, Soft Sculptures. They are playful, they are unusual, using patterns and textures, but they all symbolize empowerment because, you know, she's using this sort of token commodity, which is the pillow, and places it as a representation of people who deserve respect and acknowledgement. And you can see the diversity of people within these pillows. The artist reverts and changes this narrative and places these subjects on plinths and within an art space, and granting them the deserved recognition they should have. So finally, we have Yelaini Rodriguez's artwork in the small room at Sur Gallery. She is an artist from the Bronx whose origins are Dominican Republican, and she offers the piece entitled Oshun Orisha Fertility, Help Us Birth Generations of Revolutionary Woman X. And as the title indicates, it's inspired by the Orisha of fertility, Oshun. And Oshun is represented wearing a bright yellow dress with a hand-woven cape composed of blue threads that mimic the Atlantic Ocean. And this water, this body of water and borders, she explains, now serves to divide rather than to unite communities. Through the textile, the performance and video and the photography, The project exposes scars of slavery, seen in brown threads woven into the fabric. The artist transmits a powerful message of strength, of resiliency of Black womenex who have endured the life of struggle and of endurance. The video documentation of the performance was commissioned by El Museo del Barrio during the triennial, and Rodriguez brings her photography to life with this immersive experience dedicated to this Afro-diasporic deity. And throughout the day at the triennial, multimedia presentation opened for viewing at El Teatro of the Museo, which was activated by a procession of dancers and musicians, and we witnessed this at the gallery through a video documentation of it. The artists' interfaith and intercountry narratives examine identity and race. She follows the struggle within Afro-spirituality, cultural traditions, Afro-futuristic imagery and nature to represent her diaspora, and merges its multiplicity with contemporary meaning. Through her work, Yelaini Rodriguez offers spaces of commemoration and spirituality where pain and violence permeate, yet she also follows the strength of her ancestors with determination to find a space for change through her song, through ritual, through tradition, dance, through color, and most importantly through color for this exhibition and creation, and she chooses that through the weapon as her weapon of choice. Well, thank you everyone for joining me at the curator tour. I hope you are able to come. It runs until July 9th, so please come and witness it in person. It's a completely different experience.